and of all things, it's to be found in the first Armenian grammar that was published at the beginning of the 6th century. That's like the year 500 or so, from Greek. Dionysius Thrax, Ars Grammatica, Art of Grammar. And it's in there under the section where the grammar talks about interjection. And on one, the text that was published, the critical text, has the Greek on one side and the Armenian on the other side. And opposite the Greek expressions, classical Greek expressions, in Armenian, in the Armenian section of the texts of Dionysius, there are different interjections expressing a grief, surprise, and so on. And one of them is ach. So 6th century we're talking about. The word or the expression has been in Armenian all these centuries. Now if one had any doubt about the identity of Gorky, just this expression, ach makashetzi, that should be enough to tell you something. And I do have a personal story connected with that particular expression. That's why it attracted my attention so much. When I was a very young man, in my early 20s, one day they called me from the hospital. I think it was from the Mass General Hospital, because they had an Armenian patient that they had just brought in, and they wanted someone who could speak Armenian so that they could understand him and he could understand them. By the time I got to the hospital, the man was completely out of it. And I tried everything I knew in Armenian. I couldn't make the man respond. He was heaving heavily. He was an old man, close to death. And for a moment, I had my doubts. I said, my God, this guy could be either a Turk, he could be a Greek, Albanian, who knows. And then the nurse came, and I think they had to put the IV on or something. They had to give him a needle. So the arm was pierced. The minute she stuck in the needle, came out that expression. Oh. I said, this man is Armenian.
My dearest ones, dear Vartush, I've already received all the letters you've written, and the letter of Murad. I'm so glad you have found a house and that Karlan is better. I instead am very lazy, even though my heart longs always to write to you. I'm telling the truth, every minute you are in my heart and in my mind. But the reason for my long silence is that I've been working very hard. For the last 2 months I've been preparing samples for the World's Fair. These samples is his word for preparatory designs. May God grant that they accept them. There is about $2,000. That means that there's a budget of, or the fee is going to be that. My dear one, I finished about 5.5 weeks ago, and I'm waiting, saying, well, that I'll hear today, tomorrow. I held back my letter for this reason. Actually, that's not a very good excuse, frankly. If he could have. These letters were written very fast. He would certainly have dropped a line before. Anyway, I wanted to give you the good news and then write. I think constantly, if only they take them, and then we can all be okay. Father, Akabi, Satanik, you and me. Now this is very interesting because there are very few references to Gorky's father, but Sedrak, Gorky's father, lived here in Watertown and in Providence until the winter of 1947. That is a mere 6 months before Gorky himself died. He died, I think, on the last day of the year of 1947. And the big mystery is Gorky's relationship with his father. the maternal side of Gorky's father, that is to say his maternal uncles, Aharon and Moses, would hear that Gorky held a certain amount of resentment to his father for having abandoned the family in Yerevan. There was this traumatic scene that he sent some money to Yerevan. The Akabi, the elder half-sister of Gorky, was married very young, as Armenian women were married in those days, i.e. she was a mother aged 15. Kokan was the son of Akabi, and she was only 15 years old when she made Kokan, gave birth to Kokan. And Akabi went to Yerevan with the rest of the family, but her husband Mugadic came from Watertown here to collect her and collect Gorkan and take them back home. And he brought some money from Sedrak to bring the rest of the family. The rest of the family was Shushan, Gorky's mother, and Gorky, and Vartush, and Satanik. But when this money was counted out, it was only enough for one ticket. So there was a big family trauma about this, who was going to go. The message, I think, was that the wife should go and join her husband in America, leaving the three children in an orphanage. But Shushan was an extremely powerful personality, so she refused that. And instead she sent Satanik, which was her eldest daughter. So this was a big trauma in the existence of Satanik too, because when she was old, she had this feeling that her mother had rejected her. So there were huge tensions, which I'm sure you're all familiar with this. I mean, more familiar certainly than I am, who lived a very simple life. But this business of separating families and having to go this way and that way, and how you get joined up again, and crossing frontiers and trying to convince immigration officers and all that, was very much part of Gorky's life, and it did leave deep wounds in all of them, I think. With the possible exception of Akabi, who was a very feisty woman. Lived on Dexter Avenue. So this money was not enough, and Gorky was left behind with Vartush, and Satanik, and Shushan, his mother, died of starvation that winter in Yerevan, and they managed to get themselves to America, but with the help of his maternal uncle Aharon. Anyway, there's this theory that all these children held a great deal of resentment to Sedrak for not having sent enough money to cover the ticket for all of them.